Fast, focused, and fearless. Here's everything you need to know this rush hour of August 16, Friday. I'm Riza Diaz. Jump-starting today's rush with the recent incident of alleged transphobia in the country. Some are saying it may just be the right spark to finally start the debate on the SOGIE Bill, as even some senators scramble to understand gender-related concepts. Ria Fernandez with the story.
Dinala po nila ako rito sa may baba ng Farmers Plaza kasi daw po nag-CR ako sa babae. Binitbit po nila ako dito.
For Senator Risa Ontiveros, the arrest of trans woman Gretchen Diaz due to an argument over the use of the ladies' room was a clear case of discrimination. She says it is the opportune time to pass the Sexual Orientation and Gender Identity and Expression, or SOGIE Bill. If it becomes law, any form of discrimination against an individual's sexual orientation and gender identity will be considered a crime.
Panahon na para sabihin na hindi tayo papayag na may LGBTIQ na poposasan, sasampalin, aalis pustahin dahil sa kanilang kasarian. Senators
Amy Marcos and Bongo expressed their support of the bill.
It is our moral obligation to safeguard a culture of acceptance and inclusivity to ensure that our children and generations of Filipinos to come will live in a nation where they feel loved, cared for, and accepted.
Some lawmakers raised their concerns. Senator Ping Lacson worries about the measure's possible abuse.
I see a little danger here, Mr. President. What if a straight male person who simply voyeuristic, would enter a ladies' room with another intention, dressed in a female attire, but whose intention is simply just to
harass.
Senator Coco Pimentel wanted a clearer clarification of the LGBTIQA initials.
The term now is LGBTIQA.
Plus.
May plus pa? Okay. So, hihingi sana ako ng definition ng IQA, pero kung may plus pa, wala katapusan pala ito.
Plus po dahil sa natututunan natin about human sexuality, maraming kulay, maraming shades. So the spectrum may be forever being further and further refined habang nakikilala natin ang ating mga pagkatao.
Senate President Tito Soto also questioned the lengthy acronym.
Why that lengthy letters? Why not just Homo sapiens? We're all the same. Why do we have to segregate the gays from the lesbians, from the straight guys?
Hindi po sana kailangang mag-segregate, Mr. President. I agree with you. Kung yung human civilization natin at mga societies natin, pati Philippine society, nag-evolve to the point na walang diskriminasyon.
The lively discussions are just a preview of things to come when the debates on the SOGIE Bill reaches the plenary. For News 5, Ria Fernandez, We Are One News.
Ahead of President Duterte's expected dialogue with the Chinese President Xi Jinping later this month, authorities are now airing more concerns over China's aggressive maritime actions. Marian Enriquez tells us more.
Not an act of friendship. This is Malacanang's response over reports that 5 more Chinese warships passed through the Philippine waters unannounced.
We express concern with that kind of incident. Because if they keep on saying that we're friends, I don't think this is an act of friendship.
The Armed Forces of the Philippine Westmincom says 2 ships were seen along the Cebu Strait in Tawi-Tawi last July, while 3 were seen this month. AFP spokesperson Brigadier General Edgar Darevalo says this act of China poses a security threat to the country.
The fact is, they did not seek any clearance or diplomatic clearance before they are entering our country, our waters. Also, they switch off their automatic identification system. It is a security threat, it is a security challenge that we need to face and we need to address.
Arevalo adds the warship was aware of the violation because the moment the AFP sent its air and naval assets, the warship quickly turned around.
We have established our sovereignty and authority by flying over them and making our presence known. And as a matter of fact, even if the so-called, you were saying, a seeming an obvious disparity in terms of our air and water assets, they somehow went back to the course that they should have been taking.
Presidential spokesperson Panelo says China may have violated the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, or UNCLOS.
Bullying ba ang tawag doon?
Kasi
Baka it's a violation of the UNCLOS. Violation ng UNCLOS yan kung dumaraan sa ating EEZ. I'm sure the DFA Secretary will do something about that.
Last week, Foreign Affairs Secretary Teodoro Locsin Jr. said he will fire off another diplomatic protest against China over the presence of Chinese survey ships in Philippine waters. For News 5, Marian Enriquez, we are One News.
Defense Chief Delphine Lorenzana is also backing diplomatic means and the similar peaceful solutions to China's unsolicited visits to Philippine waters. In an interview with the chiefs, Lorenzana says he will ask Duterte to bring the issue of warship incursions with Xi. Now, the Defense Secretary says if a diplomatic protest won't cut it, the country could also rely on the implementation of the Comprehensive Code of Conduct in the South China Sea, though its terms have yet to be finalized.
What is the message that you are getting from China in its repeated conduct of its warships along our territorial waters?
Well,
What message are you getting?
The message I'm getting is that para lang sinasabing, dadaan kami dyan, hindi namin sasabihin sa inyo. You cannot do anything about it.
in assuming that you can do nothing at all.
Yeah, we have some ways to complain by diplomatic protest, and of course we are waiting for the code of conduct in the South China Sea, and that is one of the things maybe that could be addressed by that code of conduct.
Meanwhile, here are the biggest stories from the dailies. Lawmakers are raising concern over the presence of what they described as a military-looking Chinese nationals working at the Pogo facility in Las Piñas. The Philippine Star reports that the House Committee on Labor received information that the Chinese workers sported haircuts and body build resembling that of soldiers. With this, several representatives have filed a resolution seeking an inquiry into the validity of offshore gaming operations in the country. Lawyers from the Public Attorney's Office are now accusing their boss, Persida Acosta, and forensics expert Erwin Efre of using the Dengvaksha controversy to overstock office supplies and obtain extra funds. Filipino Star ngayon reports that the group of anonymous lawyers are seeking the suspension of Acosta and Erfe. Acosta said the complaint is fake and threatened to pursue criminal charges against perpetrators. Malacanang says it won't interfere with the issue. Planning a vacation soon? Well, good news. The Business World reports that airfares are set to go down next month. That's with the Civil Aeronautics Board reducing the allowable fuel surcharge that airlines may implement for September and October. The regulator cited lower prices of jet fuel in easing the fuel surcharge allowed. We now check on the traffic updates over at the Commonwealth Avenue in Quezon City, where a lack of commuter buses is reportedly causing the buildup. As a possible solution, the local government of Quezon City is providing additional buses. And we have with us JC Cosico to give us heads up on the situation there. JC, good morning.
Yes, Riza, in a bid to ease commuter roads along Commonwealth Avenue in Quezon City, the QC Task Force on Transport and Traffic Management launched Friday a new traffic scheme called Bayanihan sa Lansangan. This move will add more city buses along the thoroughfare, 12 passengers having a hard time riding one during rush hour. QC Task Force on Traffic Chief Ariel Linton explained City buses from Bulacan and Fairview in Quezon City are already full as soon as they arrive in Doña Carmen, Litex, and Sandigan area in Commonwealth. Hence, the move will address the issue of thousands of commuters occupying 2 to 3 lanes of the avenue to take a bus ride, which he said is the primary reason of traffic along the area on a daily basis. Over 70,000 commuters from various communities and neighboring provinces were going out of Commonwealth Avenue during morning and afternoon rush hours to catch public transportation for them to go to their respective works. Intel also clarified that this or the augmentation will only be done during rush hours. Apart from buses, TNVS units, UV Express, and motorcycles also took part on today's launching. Intel also said they will ask the LTFRB to issue special permits for buses in line with the initiative. Riza?
Thank you. That was JC Cosico reporting live from Quezon City. Senator Laila de Lima is now back in Camp Crame after her trip to Camarines Sur to visit her sick mother. De Lima, who is detained over illegal drug charges, arrived past midnight at the PNP Custodial Center. Same as during arrival in Legazpi, the senator did not entertain any interview from the media. The opposition senator was granted a 2-day furlough to visit her 86-year-old mother who has been confined at a hospital in Naga City since last week. The Middle Kingdom is flexing its military defense near the border as tensions are still escalating in Hong Kong. And Senator Nancy Binay says it's now time to think of an escape plan for thousands of OFWs living in the Asian financial hub. Here's the story.
Over 700 Hong Kong nationals have been arrested since the protests erupted in the Asian financial hub on June 9, 115 of which were already prosecuted. Police stations have been surrounded and attacked 76 times, while 15 police officers had sustained eye injuries due to laser lights.
I have said more than once that the laser lights have serious repercussions on police officers' eyes. As mentioned before, there were 15 colleagues that had eye injuries to varying degrees due to the lasers.
Despite the rising tensions, the Hong Kong police claims they only use a minimum level of force when dealing with protesters.
They will ensure their use of force minimum as possible and stop once their aim of using that force can be achieved. Sometimes we cannot only rely on a snapshot that it looks like excessive force are being used, but as a whole, we are confident that we exercise our force in a very restrained manner.
And because of the increasing violence in the former British colony, a law school based in mainland China says Beijing can declare a state of emergency in Hong Kong. One of the conditions for such a declaration is if there is turmoil that threatens national unity and security.
The Standing Committee of the National People's Congress has the right to decide to declare a state of emergency in the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region. This authority is clearly outlined in the Constitution's basic law. It can make that judgment, it can make that decision, and it can declare that.
And speaking of China, the Chinese People's Armed Police conducted military exercises near the border of Hong Kong. This comes after the U.S. State Department warned that the Middle Kingdom might deploy its army to break up the protests wrecking the Special Administrative Region. As part of their exercises, the Chinese police divided into 2 groups, with one wearing black shirts similar to those worn by some protesters. Over in the Philippines, Senator Nancy Binay is looking at possible contingency plans for the nearly 200,000 OFWs in Hong Kong. Binay suggests to use the Macau airport as a possible exit point in the event of a mass evacuation. But the Labor Department continues to deploy OFWs in the troubled territory since the DFA has yet to issue a temporary deployment ban to the area. For News 5, Greg Gregorio, we are One News.
Let's fast break now to Sports Rush. Petron wasted no time on its way to the PSL semifinals, leaving the Marinerang Filipina Lady Skippers in the dust. Flexing a twice-to-beat advantage, the Blaze Spikers took the opening set of its quarterfinals match to heat up its engine. But the defending champs quickly shifted their play into high gear in the second and third sets. Petron limited the Lady Skippers to only 13 points in set number 2 and 11 points in the third and final set. The Blaze Spikers move on to the next round to take on the winner of Genetica Ayala and Signals matchup. And PLDT still couldn't find sufficient antidote to repel Photon, who has been lording over them all season long. Now, after dropping the first set, Photon closed it out in 4 sets to book its first semis appearance since 2018 Grand Prix. Rookie Marian Buitre's lethal form stood out, blending seamlessly with Santiago sisters and tallying 13 points to boost her team. Photon advances to the next round where they will face either F2 or Santa Lucia.
Sa first set kasi parang we were all in a hurry. Lahat kami nag-rush. Parang sinasabayan namin yung pace nung kabila. Wala kaming sariling pacing. Tapos on the latter part of the game, parang lahat kami we stick to the game plan. Tapos lahat ng sabihin ni coach, in-apply lang namin. And ayun, well, nothing more, nothing less. Kaya gumana rin yung mga pinapagawa sa amin ni coach.
And that's how the day is shaping up to be. Join us again next time for another round of Rush. I'm Riza Diaz. We are One News.